watching quite a few of these movies lately, and I'm wondering, why don't any of these clowns know how to juggle or do any other circus tricks? So today I want to talk about a movie that's different than any of the other ones that I've seen so far since I started doing this. And it's called Shadow Zombie. And I'm not gonna lie, it's sad. It's a sad movie, and it's about a guy who is a drug addict and a weed dealer, and he also writes poetry. Interesting combo, I guess. But at night, he puts makeup on, and he puts, not clown makeup, he puts this kind of freaky makeup on, and he calls himself Shadow Zombie, and he says that he's a zombie. And when he's not in makeup, he's very quiet and reserved and just kind of down on himself. But when he's in the makeup, he's a little bit more lively, he's a little more sure of himself. And I can totally relate to that. So I thought that was kind of neat. Also, he goes to this party and he meets this woman, and they're flirting. She's a little bit drunk, and he's kind of flirting with her a little bit, and she's like, "Oh, so you're a zombie? are you gonna eat me? You can eat my leg?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll eat you. I like to eat people." And I'm just like, oh, I know what you were talking about. That's naughty. But then she was like, "Oh, you can't eat my other leg, you can only eat one leg." And he's like, "Why can't I only eat one leg?" And she's like, "Because I only have one leg." And then she pulls up her pants leg, and she's got a prosthetic leg, and she takes it off, and she hands it to him, and then he chews on it, and then she lets him chew on her stump, and she's like, "Oh my goodness," and they're both just this super awkward flirting, and I thought it was kind of adorable. And so he leaves the party, and because I think she ends up leaving, if I remember correctly. And then he's walking home, and he sees this girl driving this car, and she's in clown makeup, and he just thinks that she's so beautiful, and starts writing poetry about her. And then he is able to meet her again, and she's actually a nurse and a part-time clown. Her clown character's name is Cookie. And then because he's back in his Shadow Zombie makeup again, he's like, "Oh, I like to eat cookies." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I bet you do." And then so he asks her out on a date, and he doesn't say, "Oh, hey, do you want to go on a date?" He's like, "I really think that Shadow Zombie and Cookie should get together." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm so down with that." So that was really cute to me. I also really they go roller skating, and in their characters, and they're so much more lively with each other, and they're they're just really sweet and together, and they're happy together. And then they have some time together outside of the makeup, and she tells him that she suffers from depression, and she doesn't really take any medication for it because she's really anti-medication. And her family, her parents had just died recently, so she was just home by herself a lot and is really depressed. And she actually ends up committing suicide. And it's really sad. And when Shadow Zombie finds out, he's really sad too, and he just is writing all this sad poetry, and then he ends up seeing the one-legged woman again, and he ends up spending time with her again. And in a way, what he went through with Cookie and getting closer to her kind of opened him up to want to get close to others. And there was a really sweet moment with him and the amputee that I can't remember her name. I feel terrible that I don't remember what her character's name is. But she's like, "You should always smile." And he's like, "Oh, I don't really like to show my teeth because they're fucked up from all the drugs that I did and getting in fights." And she was like, "You should smile." And he smiles, and it just really touched my heart that she helps him come out of his shell. And he also ends up owning up, he ends up talking to one of his friends about something that like happened to him in his life that was really sad, that, you know, kind of turned him to living not the best life that he would have probably wanted for himself otherwise. And he also kind of, like, there's also times in the, like, parts of the movie where he's, like, followed by a ghost and it ends up being the ghost of his mom. And so, yeah, it was a really sad movie, and I prefer my clown movies to be a little bit happier. But I am really glad that I saw it, like, because when I first was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I getting into? But I'm really, really glad that I watched it. And if anybody else has seen this movie, I'd love to hear what you thought of it. If you want to tell me in the comments, that would be wonderful. And hopefully the next movie is a bit happier than this one. Bye!